Some time later, two assassins from the Blue Moon of Salvation are in a forest, looking for Yuji. One assassin manages to see Yuji walking in the forest. Meanwhile, Yuji is thinking about how to get off the Blue Moon of Salvation's target list. He left Rikurdo City to avoid endangering the city and is now heading to Boginia City. He realizes that someone is watching them, and sends a slime to spy on the people following him. The two assassins plan to spend a day, watching Yuji to check if Yuji is a threat to the Blue Moon of Salvation and will leave him alone if he is not a threat. Yuji overhears their conversation. When Yuji arrives in Borgia, he starts to act weak so that the assassins will not consider him a threat. He also doesn't want to get rid of the assassins, so as not to draw the attention of the Blue Moon of Salvation. Later, Yuji decides to go fight monsters in order to convince the assassins. During the fight against bull monsters, Yuji sends the proud wolf to take care of the bulls. During the fight, Yuji constantly heals the bulls secretly so as not to appear strong. After watching Yuji defeat the bulls with much effort, the assassins decide that he is not a threat to the Blue Moon of Salvation. The slime spying on them overhears that their next target is a priest. At night, the assassins report that Yuji the adventurer is not a threat and are ordered to kill Style, the priest. Yuji overhears them through the slime that was watching them and decides to freeze the assassins with magic, so that they won't attack Style for the time being. The next day, Yuji goes to a blacksmith in Boginia, who makes armor for monsters. Yuji wants armor made for his slimes, however Geigel, who makes the armor, says that Yuji's slimes are too powerful. Geigel tells Yuji that he needs a material, which is found in the body of a monster, called Blue Lesser Fire Dragon, to create armor that can resist the power of his slimes. Yuji decides to go to a volcano near the city, where there are Lesser Fire Dragons, and Blue Lesser Fire Dragons. Before going to the volcano, Yuji goes to the Adventurers Guild to accept quests related to the Lesser Fire Dragons. Then, on the way to the volcano, Yuji kills a large piranha monster in a river to complete one of the guild's quests. He then arrives at the volcano, where he encounters the Lesser Fire Dragons, and Yuji uses water magic to defeat them easily. Later, he finds a Blue Lesser Fire Dragon. Although it is more difficult to kill, Yuji manages to kill it easily. After collecting enough materials, Yuji returns to the city. He first goes to the guild to deliver the quests that he completed and then goes to Geigel. Geigel is surprised to see the large amount of good quality materials Yuji brings and promises that he will make powerful armors. Some time later, Yuji and Geigel go outside the city to test the effectiveness of the armor made by Geigel. Yuji tries out several spells and is satisfied with the armor. Geigel tells him that if he wants more powerful armor, he needs to get higher quality materials like a fire dragon. Yuji learns that there is a fire dragon in the volcano, but it never comes out of the volcano or attacks people. Later, while Yuji is thinking about the dragon, the slimes tell Yuji that the monsters in the volcano are going mad. Yuji realizes that fire dragon is coming out of the volcano. Yuji sees through a slime two men carrying barrels heading towards the fire dragon. They say something about Ordarian, which Yuji doesn't know what it is. Yuji uses a magic net to capture the two men, however, they take their own lives using poison. Yuji checks the barrels, which contain strange water. Yuji calls Dryad to ask about the strange water, to which, after checking it out, Dryad says it's cursed water. She says that while that much cursed water wouldn't kill the fire dragon, it would cause it to get out of control. The innkeeper calls Yuji to tell him that they must evacuate the city, because it is starting to rain. The innkeeper explains to Yuji that the last time that the fire dragon came out of the volcano while it was raining, the dragon burned down part of the city. As the people evacuate the city, Yuji tries to stop the fire dragon using the river, but it doesn't work. Yuji uses a powerful ice spell to freeze the dragon and kill it. After the battle, Yuji's slimes find a strange machine in the volcano. Some time later, Yuji goes to Geigel's store, where he gives him the dragon's gem to make new armor for his slimes. After that, he goes to the Adventurers Guild, where he asks about Ordarian. The receptionist tells Yuji that Erdarian is a city known for being unfriendly to outsiders. Yuji takes out the machine he found in the volcano and asks the receptionist if she knows what it is. She replies that it is a machine to create artificial rain, which all the Adventurers Guild branches have. Days later, Geigel gives Yuji the new armor that he made and tells him to try it outside the city because it is very powerful. After that, Yuji says goodbye to Geigel, who asks him his name, but Yuji does not tell him. Elsewhere, an Elder of the Blue Moon of Salvation uses a spell to increase his power. Elsewhere, Style with his assistant Joham walk down a city street. Sometime later, Yuji arrives in Erdarian City to investigate. In the Adventurers Guild, Yuji overhears through a slime several men who recognized him talking about him. Those men decide that they will ask a man named Walter how they will treat Yuji. At that moment, Priest Style and his assistant Joham approach Yuji. Style takes Yuji to a church to talk about the Blue Moon of Salvation. Style tells Yuji about his past. He tells that a long time ago, he and several friends created a cult to honor their fallen comrades called the Church of Blue Moon, which was joined by many people including a man named Walter. Walter was an ambitious man, so Style and his friends became an unpleasant presence to him. One day Style received a revelation from God to dismantle the Church of Blue Moon, which Style decided to ignore. Some time later, the Church of Blue Moon was suddenly attacked and a large number of its members were killed. Style had realized that the revelation he had received was a warning. The one who destroyed the Blue Moon Church was Walter, and after that, he took over the Blue Moon Church and renamed it Blue Moon of Salvation. Style tells Yuji that he received a new revelation to guide Yuji to take down the Blue Moon of Salvation. After Yuji leaves, Joham asks Style why he didn't tell Yuji the full revelation, to which Style replies that he doesn't want Yuji to turn his back on the divine word. Walter also receives the same revelation as Style, in which it states that the guide will die. At the inn, Yuji thinks about the legends of this world. He remembers that a guild receptionist told him a legend about a powerful master who traveled with slimes and decides to ask Style about it. The next day, Yuji looks for Style in the church, but can't find him. A limo tells him that he saw Style and Joham leaving the city early in the morning and heading into the forest. In the forest, Style and Joham enter a Blue Moon of Salvation lair. Yuji recruits new slimes in the forest. Those slimes tell Yuji that they saw Style and Joham enter a dark area of the forest. Yuji heads towards that area. When he reaches the entrance, Yuji destroys the curse protecting the place and enters the lair, where he finds defeated Blue Moon of Salvation people on the floor. At the same time, Style and Joham meet Walter in a hall. Style manages to defeat Walter's people, however, he is captured by Joham, who betrays him. While Walter talks to Style about his plans to achieve the world that he wants. He also uses a curse to revive the bodies of the subordinates that Style defeated as monsters. When Joham is about to kill Style, Yuji enters the hall by destroying a wall. Yuji tells Style that he has a question that he wants to ask him. Yuji frees Style from the magic that had trapped him. Walter has the monsters surround Yuji and Style as he leaves with Joham. Walter enters a room and sits on the strange machine, which begins to inject dragon grace into his body. When Yuji and Style enter the room, they see Walter in the strange machine. Yuji throws fireballs at Walter to stop him, but it doesn't work. Walter transforms into a monster due to the massive amount of dragon grace in his body. Yuji attacks Walter with fire spells, but fails to do anything to him, so he equips the Proud Wolf and a slime with the armor he got from Geigel. Yuji's attack power increases and he manages to destroy part of Walter's body, but Walter regenerates quickly. Walter realizes that he cannot beat Yuji, so he decides to sacrifice himself and his subordinates. He says that the revelation had told him that with the guide's death the sage will be born. After Walter's sacrifice, a great amount of magical power is gathered in one place and there appears a man, who claims to be the sage. Style realizes that the revelation was not for him to guide Yuji, but for Walter to sacrifice himself. The man who claims to be the sage has the same abilities as Yuji and casts a powerful spell destroying everything around them. Yuji and his companions fight against the sage, using powerful spells as well. Saying that salvation will come soon, the sage casts a spell, activating rain machines to cover the entire sky of the continent with clouds filled with dragon grace. The rain mixed with the grace of the dragon falls on the continent and causes the monsters to lose control. Yuji realizes that the situation is very bad. The sage refers to Yuji as the young sage and tells Yuji that long ago, he was also a sage. He says that he was killed by a dragon and died with remorse, just like other sages, so now he will destroy everything on the continent to break that cycle and bring salvation to the world. They engage in another battle with powerful spells. The slimes warn Yuji that the monsters are gathering outside the cities. While Yuji fights against the sage, he also attacks the monsters near the cities. At that moment, Dryad notifies Yuji that the adventurers are gathering to fight the monsters. Yuji sees through the slimes the adventurers from all the cities bravely fighting to protect their city and realizes that he doesn't need to do everything alone like in his previous life. He casts strengthening abilities on the adventurers fighting the monsters to help them. Style tells Yuji that he received a new revelation, which says that when the sun and moon are aligned a divine judgment will fall. Yuji uses a potion given to him by Dryad long ago to restore his magical power. The sage asks Yuji why he wants to protect this world. Yuji thinks of all the people he has met in this world since he arrived, and replies to the sage that he likes this world the way it is. Just then, a panel opens in front of Yuji, on which it is written that he can use the Divine Strike skill, the same skill he used to defeat the Blue Dragon. Yuji uses the skill Divine Strike several times against the sage, but still cannot defeat him. He equips himself with the dagger Style gave him. Yuji uses magic barriers to lock him and the sage together, and uses the Divine Strike skill on the tip of the dagger. Yuji approaches the sage and stabs the dagger into the sage's stomach, killing him and removing the dragon grace clouds from the sky. After the fight, Yuji is exhausted. Later, Yuji leaves Ordarian City to avoid attracting the attention of the Blue Moon of Salvation. All the cities celebrate their success in protecting their cities. Sometime later, Yuji overhears through a slime the conversation of several Blue Moon of Salvation members. They wonder what's going on with Walter, since they haven't seen him recently. They talk about a machine, called a purifier, which they will use to wipe clean the continent and defeat the Black Dragon of Ruin. Yuji thinks that these folks won't stop causing trouble. At that moment, a tiger monster approaches Yuji and his companions. Afterwards, Yuji arrives at an adventurer's guild to complete a quest to hunt the tiger monster. A woman named Megia recognizes Yuji when he says he is a tamer, and everyone in the guild starts talking about Yuji's achievements. He wonders in his mind what he should do.
I hope you liked the recap. If so, don't forget to subscribe and like it.